Good evening, everybody. Currently, it's the 20th of October, 2010 in the evening here, going on 1800 Hong Kong time. That is right around 10 Zulu for the rest of you worldwide here today. And out here in the Western Pacific, very busy day going on right now. We have a long stationary front basically extending across entire islands of Japan here and South Korea into eastern China here. We still are monitoring 15W here, or Megi, still a very strong typhoon out there right now with winds upwards of 120 knots with gusts much higher, and looking at a max forecast out of this right around 125 knots over the next 24 hours. And also we do have a fair area or 95W out here, an invest here right near Guam and Saipan, moving off to the west here. Have a little more information on that, but right now first and foremost the biggest story of the day, this is 15W Megi out here, the very strong typhoon in the South China Sea. Currently moving west-northwest at about 5 knots, a very slow-moving storm at this time, and that's actually been giving it more time to get strong over here in the South China Sea. But just to note, if it does linger too slowly here, it actually start causing upwelling right below the surface here, bringing the cooler waters up below 20 meters up to the surface, which actually cool the surface temperatures, but that compared to the intensity it would gain the longer it hangs out here in the South China Sea is not good in the overall comparison. So right now, wanting the system move to the west-northwest, we are looking at a landfall here in southeast China to the northeast of Hong Kong in here, really going to be making landfall still as a very strong typhoon right around 100 to 115 knots. Just shown here on this JTWC track here, looking at system gradually intensifying, but as it moves farther to the north here, it's actually going to start encountering some more shear associated with that stationary boundary mentioned earlier. So as it counters that stationary boundary, it'll start to slightly weaken. Now, this does not take away from the devastating effect this is likely going to have on southeast China, with still a landfall possibly right around 105 knots. So still a very strong storm moving up here towards actually making landfall likely near Shintao. But I also do want to note that the cone of air still extends clear out here towards Taiwan and all the way back towards Hainan over here, with Hong Kong definitely still in the mix here for a possible landfall in that area. But right now, though, the track looks pretty dominant on moving due north. All the other agencies here, JMA, showing their track, looking at landfall right in the relatively same area as JTWC is showing, but still a very wide cone of air. And actually some of the agencies are showing this backdrop here, which could possibly, if this system loses overall support, it could possibly start drifting back south, but that looks highly unlikely. But the chance is there for it losing its overall steering flow. But right now, the weakness in the upper level ridge to the north is basically indicating that it is going to start to make that northerly progression. The Hong Kong Observatory is also showing the same track to the north, but then eventually to the back towards the northwest, making landfall closer to Hong Kong than what JTWC is actually showing. But that all goes together with that overall margin of error, though. But basically, it looks like Taiwan might be free from most of these strong typhoon strength winds, but the outer rain bands are still definitely going to extend out towards Taiwan with tropical storm force winds and embedded thunderstorms, because this is a very wide storm, and I think that's one of the most dangerous aspects of it, is that as we look at visible imagery here, is that right now it is encompassing all of the South China Sea. This thing is a monster. In comparison, it is bigger in overall size than Katrina was a few years back in the States, but it still have outer rain bands actually on the west coast of Luzon down in here. They're still experiencing, about 2 days after landfall, some rains and wind effects from this storm. So, and also seeing some heavy rain showers currently up here in southern Taiwan. So this is still a very strong, potent storm, but the overall size of it is just mind-boggling as this system starts to drift to the north here. And here actually showing some damage from the storm when it made landfall in near Isabela in the Philippines. Much devastation there. Right now, only reports of 20 deaths. Hopefully that number does not climb anymore, but the massive amount of damage actually shown in this video right here, I would not be surprised if we start to see more deaths out of there. It's a very sad situation. I really hope that there isn't any more reports of casualties, but still definitely the loss of architecture and agriculture down there is devastating for the country. Moving back out here, though, moving over to the east here, we're looking at 95 Whiskey, or this fair area actually been announced by a GWC here near Guam Saipan, and already seeing some rotation in the storm shown in this ASCAT imagery here, showing this circulation just north of Guam and Saipan with some sustained winds right around 20 to 25 knots. So that actually puts it right on the verge of a possible tropical depression brought up by this ASCAT winds right in here, judged from the satellite, which looks at the directions of the winds and the directions of the seas and the height of the seas, which actually gives you the winds right in here. Just by the way, if you're curious how these are produced, but obs out of Guam and Saipan are all confirming this as well with an easterly wind rate in this region. So where will the storm possibly go? Well, looking at the European model right here, you're actually seeing this slight work up towards Taiwan, in between Taiwan and Okinawa here, and that is the strongest possibility I would possibly see right now, is that this moving up towards Okinawa region, which actually you can see on the streamlining now, which is showing this overall background flow for this area right in here to actually move towards the west and eventually recurving to the north right in here along that stationary boundary, actually farther up to the north. So likely if the system was to develop, I would agree with that European model moving the storm farther towards Okinawa, and actually No Gaps is picking up on this storm as well and bringing it in a similar location. GFS still holding off on it, but thing we need to closely monitor here over the next 24 to 48 hours. Look like right now with the overall background flow, it should just miss Philippines to the north if it does develop, but this is very long range and this all could change slightly. Also looking at another invest out here, 98 Whiskey. This one looks very unorganized at this time, and not expecting too much development out of this, but another system we definitely still need to watch throughout that area. But still seeing some heavy rain showers throughout much of Japan and Korea as well, but still, as already noted, all eyes continue to remain on 15W here. So if you have any further questions, please contact me at westernpacificweather.com. You can email me there or put a note in the shout box, which is actually located to right here. Also, if you want to look at the video of that devastation in Isabela, scroll down below the warnings on the webpage here, and you also can find that video there as well. So also find me at storm2k.org if I'm not available. There's plenty of people there that are very meteorological sound and can help you answer some questions as well in regards to this storm. So stay safe out there, everybody. Luckily, I have another update tomorrow, so please stay safe out there. Please continue to watch Hong Kong Observatory for you there located in Hong Kong for any further warnings and advisories put out by this storm. So have a good night. Bye.